Dan Campbell is perhaps the best motivational coach in the entirety of the NFL, but it's not just players that he's motivating, it's also the fans of his team. We're going to talk about it in today's episode, folks, so stay tuned.
We used to be a team no one respected. We used to be a team no one feared. That was then. This is now.
First victory of the year on the line. Goff's got it. Back, looks, throws, end zone. Yes! Caught!
You know who we are.
10-5, end zone, touchdown, Detroit Lions.
And you know where to find us. We won't be far. We'll be on your front porch waiting for you. We are the New Era Lions. And
we are driven by Detroit.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. I'm your host, David T. Pike, and as always, we're diving in. But before we dive on in, I just want to say welcome all back, and thank you all to my loyal subscribers and viewers that are coming back to the show. It means the world to me that I have such loyal fans, loyal subscribers, and I'm thankful for each and every one of y'all. And to those that are tuning into my show for the very, very first time, I just want to say thank you all for giving my show a shot. I hope you all like the content, but even more so, I hope to gain you all subscribers if I've earned and deserved it. And with that having been said, before I say this, God bless. Hope you all enjoy the show. Now, let's dive into the content. So, here's the thing, folks. When we talk about Dan Campbell is probably, in at least my opinion, the greatest leader in the NFL when it comes to players. Because again, you can talk about certain coaches, and there are certain coaches that people will say, well, this is the best coach in the NFL, or this is the best coach of all time. And some people are going to throw out names like, Bill Belichick, John Harbaugh, Mike Tomlin. Some people might throw in Kyle Shanahan. Others might throw in Sean McVay. The list is kind of like, depending upon dealer's choice. But in my opinion, no coach has the same kind of effect on players, save maybe now DeMeco Ryans and maybe Antonio Pierce, that Dan Campbell has. And that is because Dan Campbell has the ability to reach players in a way that very few people can. And he's, like I said, he's a great leader of players. He's always an inspiration as well, not only for the players, but also for the fans. Now, I'm going to say this. There has never been a moment, in my opinion, where Dan Campbell has not been able to say the right thing at the right time to get people to want to fight for him, to fight for his team, to root for the Lions. It's just never been a point of contest with Dan Campbell's ability to say the right thing in the right moment. I mean, for crying out loud, I've said this before, I'll say it again. Dan Campbell is literally a walking soundbite, because anytime there is a microphone near him, there's a good likelihood you're going to get a very memorable statement. There is a likelihood you are going to get something that is going to fire you up and is going to make you want to love the Lions and root for Dan Campbell and the Lions. Such things as his very first press conference. Hey, we're going to go out, we're going to bite your kneecaps off, we're going to get knocked down, we'll bite your other kneecap off. That was kind of the soundbite that started it all. Then we go to freaking Hard Knocks, and that was literally loaded to the brim with soundbites. I mean, by far one of my favorite sound bites, that's one of his best, pardon me, I was getting those mixed up, is the one ass cheek and three toes. I don't care if you have one ass cheek and three toes, I will kick your ass. That is a statement that right there is just like, hey, not only is it comical, but at the same time, it's motivational. Then you think about other comments that he made while he was on Hard Knocks. Like, all I think about is you guys. That's all I think about. Like, that right there. When a coach is that emotional, is that open, is that 100% with the players, you feel that raw emotion. You connect with it instantaneously. And then another one that, again, I love music. Music is one of my favorite things to do when I'm not doing this. And I do love all shades of music, gospel, country, rock. And when you're thinking about this comment, most people already know where I'm going with this, but that comment he said about how, hey, there's no light at the end of the tunnel. It's just a freight train coming through, and if you're seeing it, that's what it is. Like, that is that's connected to a rock song by Metallica, but it's just like, listen, These comments that Dan Campbell has made, they're very motivational. They connect people and they reach people. Well, I'm going to say this right now. All of those comments are great. But now we can add yet another comment, another quote to Dan Campbell, once again reaching out to people, connecting people, motivating people for the Detroit Lions community. And this one just came out earlier, I think either yesterday or sometime the day before that. But this comment comes, I think that Dan Campbell was on a radio show. I can't remember the one right off the top of my head. But this was what the comment was. Dan Campbell said this. He said, "To those fans who have kept the faith, you deserve this. To the doubters, stay off our train. It is too late for you." Now, I'm just going to say this. That is a great comment because I don't know how many times we've heard about people who are bandwagon fans that jump on the train and they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to root for this team. Listen, I'll tell you this right now. There are very few people that are okay with bandwagon fans because it's like, listen, you're with us when we're doing great, but when you're not with us, you instantly jump off. That's why they're called bandwagon fans. And it's like, listen, the thing about this quote is that it serves two purposes on both the front end and on the back end because you have to think about it. What does Dan Campbell do with this quote? First thing he does is he asserts that to the loyal Lions fans that have kept the faith, that have been there since the very beginning, that have endured all the struggle, that have endured all the turmoil, that have endured all of those things that make being a Lions fan very, very difficult for a lot of us. He's like, listen, you deserve this. This was meant for you. These wins, this season, all of the work that the Lions players and organization have put into this season, the results that were wrought are for us. Because Dan Campbell understands what it's like being in Detroit. He understands what it's like being in that scenario. Because it's like, listen, we've been here since through it all. We always show up for our Lions. We always are there. Doesn't necessarily mean we're always in the best of moods, but it's like, listen, we're always there for our Lions. Win, lose, or draw. And it's like, listen, we have endured all of the jeers, all of the jokes, all of the beatdowns by other fan bases. And it's like, listen, Dan Campbell first and foremost asserts, he's like, listen, everything that we're doing, everything that we have done, the winning, the division title, the playoff win, you deserve this because you've been there since the beginning, supporting us and being loyal to us. But that's only the first part of this little quote. The second part is where Dan Campbell drops the boom on those who have doubted us, those who have mocked us, those who have tore us down, those who have said that we would never, ever, ever amount to anything, only to then turn around that when we start winning, oh, now they want to start giving us that lip service. Now they want to say that, well, we've always supported the Lions or we've always rooted for them. And what they're trying to do now is they're trying to cover their tracks and say, well, you know, those past statements, we didn't really believe them. Or you know what? We were just saying that because that was what was going on in the moment. And it's like, listen, you take a look at Lions fans, the true Lions fans. It's like, listen, we don't have to be told or know when a team is bad. But we don't care the team is bad. We still love the team. We still love our Lions. I guarantee you this right now. There are many, many fans that watch my show and plenty other shows that are Lions related that will say this in an instant. Even when the team went 0-16 in 2008, they still loved their Lions because that's what we do. We are the true Lions fans. No matter how bad things have gotten, no matter how miserable we've been, we still deck our Honolulu blue and silver. We still say one pride, and now we say all grit. We are all about the Detroit Lions until the day we die. And ain't nothing going to change that for us. Those are the types of fans that Dan Campbell is talking about, how this is what we've earned. We've deserved this because we have stuck through it thick and thin. And for what Dan Campbell is saying on the opposite is like, listen, for all those that are trying to give the Lions their flowers now, thanks for giving us the flowers. But it's like, listen, you guys are bandwagon slappies. You guys are bandwagon fans. You guys weren't there when we went through all the hard work of tearing down the roster just to rebuild it up. Because again, how many people, when Dan Campbell got hired, wanted to call him a meathead? How many people wanted to say that, you know what, they just thought it was all bravado. They just thought it was an act. They thought that Dan Campbell wasn't going to last. How many people wanted to mock the Lions because they were like, oh, they're not drafting a quarterback to replace Jared Goff? How many people in this last draft wanted to give Brad Holmes so much freaking flack because he drafted Jahmyr Gibbs in the first round? That's what I'm trying to say here. The analysts, the supposed professionals, are part of the problem here about what I think Dan Campbell is saying here is like, listen, You have people out there that are now on national television that are saying, oh yeah, the Lions, they're a really great team. They can do this, they can do that. And it's like, okay, well, where were you all a couple of years ago when we were 3-13-1? Where were you guys all when we started 1-6 in 2022? I don't remember the praises being sung then. In fact, what I remember hearing is, oh, well, maybe Dan Campbell might be getting fired sooner than what we thought. Maybe this isn't going to work in Detroit. Maybe it's just, once again, another rendition of SOL. I heard all those comments. I literally had to fight all those comments. Whether it was from Stephen A. Smith, whether it was from frickin' Pro Football Talk with Chris Sims and Mike Florio. I had to listen to it from some of the people at Woodward Sports. I've had to listen to it from a lot of people because they just wanted to go with what was easy to sell. And what was easy to sell in those days was that the Lions were bad and we're just going to keep talking about it. But now that the Lions are good, now they're trying to say, well, we've always believed in the Lions. We always thought that Dan Campbell was going to turn it around. We always thought that Dan Campbell had that within him, or that these players had within him. No, you didn't. Don't try and piss on my back and call it rain. That is not at all what you were trying to tell us back 2 years ago. You were trying to tell us that we were once again never going to figure it out because that's what the Lions always do. They never figure it out. The Fords never figured it out. None of the coaches they've hired have figured it out. It's nothing but ineptitude, and it's just been literally check mark, check mark, check mark, all the same stupid comments and reasons that we've heard in the past. The only reason why it's now stopped and gone to a different kind of talk is because of the fact that, let's see here. The Lions finished 12-5, matching their record of best season of wins in 1991. We won a division crown, something we haven't done since 1993. We just won our first playoff game, something we have not done since 1991. It's kind of hard to continue to talk about how the Lions are crap or bad when the Lions have done something that they haven't done in 30 years on multiple fronts. And by the way, the Lions, what else have they done this year? They beat the defending Super Bowl champions in Week 1. They've had a 4-2 primetime record before the postseason. I mean, the list just goes on and on. We've got 5 All-Pro players this year between first and second team. I think we had 5 or 6 players that got voted unanimously to the Pro Bowl with a bunch of other guys that are alternates. It's like, listen, you can't ignore the Lions anymore. The Lions are a team that you have to acknowledge. And it's like, listen, you can't just expect that all of a sudden, now that you give us that acknowledgement, now you're going to say that we're good, that we're just going to all of a sudden forget about all the crap from 2, 3, 4, 5 in the last however many years that have gone by. That's not just going to automatically go away. It's like, listen, don't expect us to be all warm and welcoming and open-armed with you when you're now all of a sudden going to sing our praises. It's like, where were you when we were bad? Where were you when we were having a hard go of it? Oh, that's right. You were along with the rest of the big crowd over there saying that we were never going to amount to more than a pile of beans. That's what Dan Campbell is saying with this quote. It's like, listen, for those of us that remain true, for those of us that weathered the storm, for those of us that endured those trials and tribulations of being Lions fans, we have earned this time. We have earned this moment. We have deserved all of the rewards and reaped what we've sowed because we have stuck at it through all of the bad seasons, because now the seasons are starting to change. The barren fields are starting to bloom again. That's what I'm trying to say here. That's what Dan Campbell's trying to say to us loyal fans. It's like, listen, now is your time to enjoy and bask in the sun. For those that want to start jumping on and saying, oh, well, we never once doubted the Lions. We always thought they were going to turn this around. It was just a matter of time. It's like, listen, the world nowadays has a great thing called technology, which, hey, you can try and delete something as much as you want. It don't go nowhere. You can easily find it if you just have enough determination. And I can tell you this right now. There are a lot of people at Woodward Sports that doubted Dan Campbell. There were a lot of people in the national media that doubted Campbell. There were a lot of people on both sides of the fence that just doubted the Lions in general. And then, of course, there are certain players that also have said, oh, well, ain't nobody ever want to go to Detroit, such as Micah Parsons. There are certain people like Aaron Rodgers that have dissed the Lions for probably the longest time. So it's like, listen, just keep all them receipts because you know what? It ain't going nowhere. That evidence is all there. And you know what? Now when people want to say, well, the Lions are actually doing really good, we've always thought they were going to be good. Oh, really? I can draw back to XY date and prove that that's a lie. Be just like Maury. The lie detector determined that was a lie. That's exactly what Dan Campbell is saying here in that very short quote that I have kind of expunged a little bit to now a 14, 15-minute video. But I think I've done a good job of pretty much saying here that Dan Campbell stands up not only for his players, not only for the organization, but he stands up for the fans in the city of Detroit. And he's not going to let people just say, well, you know what, we were always there, when they clearly weren't. He believes not only in the team and the organization, but he believes in the fans. And he's going to make sure that everybody knows where his loyalties lie. That's what's being said. So, with that having been said, I just think that, you know what? For us Lions fans, this is a great moment because it's like, listen, we have a coach that understands what it's like for the players. He understands what it's like for the organization. He understands what it's like for the fans. He understands that all the wins, the division title, the playoff victory, the run in the playoff that they're still doing, that's not just for the players in the organization. It's for the fans that continually show out day after day, week after week, game after game. Because it's like, listen, just because a game's not on doesn't mean we stop being fans. Just because there's no games being played in the NFL doesn't mean in the offseason we stop being fans. We're always there 24/7 and we always give our support. And that's why Dan Campbell is all for the full-hearted fans, not for the half-hearted fans or the bandwagon fans that literally have not gone through all the suffering that we've gone through. That's why I'm saying Dan Campbell gets the fans as well as he does the players. And it's such a great thing to have. But having said all that, I think I've done a pretty good job of explaining everything. So I'm going to end the episode here, and I just want to say thank you all for watching another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. If you like what you saw, by all means, I highly encourage you all to watch the next episode I got coming at the end of this one. I also highly encourage you all, please, to do this. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. If you subscribed in the past, you forgot to do so at the time, or you just subscribed and you've not had a chance to do so, again, I highly, highly encourage you all, please subscribe. It helps me out, and I'm ever so thankful for every subscription that I can get. But after you subscribe, also, please, make sure you turn on that bell notification icon to go along with it, so that way you never miss any more content that I push out. Again, subscription numbers are always going up, but we want to make sure you turn on that notification icon as well, so that way as soon as I push something out, you never miss it, and you always come right back to this channel as soon as I got something to give you. I also want to encourage y'all to do that and help in that endeavor by sharing this content with your Lions friends and family members. Share it here on YouTube, share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook. Share it anywhere and everywhere you can with everybody and anybody that you can. And with that being said, I just want to say to everybody again, thank you all for watching the content. Thank you all for everything that you do. If I just gained your subscription, again, welcome to the MCM family. Looking forward to seeing your comments. And if I still haven't gained your subscription, hopefully you'll come back and I'll get another chance to do so. But until that time, I just want to say everybody, God bless. Hope you all enjoyed the show. And until the next time we meet, I'll see you all in the next episode.